Welcome to Atlanta, where fame is currency, secrets are sport, and one woman just flipped the whole game. When everyone thought the chaos had finally cooled, Tiny Harris came back swinging, dropping a video that set the city on the internet on fire. One upload, one click, and suddenly, hip-hop royalty started crumbling like old tabloid paper. That clip reportedly featuring T.I. and Shekinah Anderson in a little too much privacy didn't just crash social media. It shattered friendships, loyalty, and the myth of forever. Within hours, timelines detonated, hashtags lit up, and fans split between gasps and judgment. Was this a revenge drop, or a long-overdue confession from a woman done playing saint? Because under those harsh celebrity lights, the truth doesn't whisper, it slaps. Now, with court docs confirming her marriage's official death, Tiny's not crying. She's reclaiming. In a city where love, loyalty, and lies all dance to the same beat, this leak might just be the match that torched the kingdom. Tonight, Atlanta's holding its breath, because the quiet queen finally found her voice. They used to call her Mrs. Harris, the heartbeat of Atlanta's power couple. But Tiny was never just a background act. She built that empire note by note, stood by her man through every scandal, every rumor, every fake smile. For years, she perfected the role, loyal, poised, unshakable even when her eyes screamed another story. Behind the glossy covers and music video lights, whispers started to grow. Industry folks said Tiny was distant. Friends said she was done pretending. Somewhere between fame and betrayal, she stopped fighting for a love that stopped fighting for her tea. I was everywhere, studious parties, red carpets, but apparently allergic to being home. Every missed call, every vague excuse, chipped another piece off the perfect couple illusion. And right in the middle of that chaos, Shekinah Anderson, Tiny's ride or die, her sister in everything but blood, always nearby, always defending, always comforting. Maybe a little too much then, came the spark nobody wanted to see. A chat that felt too intimate, a stare that lingered like bad perfume. Tiny tried to shrug it off. After all, rumors are the background music of the industry. But this time, the air felt charged. The city was watching, waiting, and just like that, boom. A blurry paparazzi shot drops online, Shekinah leaving the studio where T.I. had been recording all night. Caption, Atlanta's best-kept secret. Subtle, right? Tiny's camp denied Shekinah, cried foul. T.I. stayed quietened. That silence screamed louder than any statement could. Weeks bled into months. The Harris mansion felt haunted by ghosts of text messages, missed dinners, and love gone stale. Tiny's smile vanished from Instagram. The filters faded, and the internet could smell heartbreak brewing. But don't get it twisted, Tiny wasn't broken. She was plotting. Every quiet post, every tear behind the glam, was strategy. She was waiting, calculating, because one day, she'd stop being the story and start telling it. And that day struck like lightning. One late-night phones across the country buzzed. Tiny Harris' official account uploaded a new video, the thumbnail, pitch black, the caption, just 6 words that sent Atlanta into meltdown. The truth always finds its way home. And just like that, boom, social media went nuclear. Within seconds, timelines exploded. Everyone expected Tiny Harris to drop a song or maybe a teary divorce confession. Instead, they got 29 seconds of raw, grainy footage that stopped the entertainment world cold. 2 shadows. 1 room. Voices everyone knew but wished they didn't. The video quality, blurry. The message, crystal clear. It took fans exactly 3 seconds to play detective on, connect the dots straight to T.I. and Shekinah Anderson. In minutes, hashtags like #TinySpeaks and #AtlantaExposed took over the internet. Supporters crowned her fearless. Critics called her ruthless. But everyone agreed on one thing: Tiny had just dropped the bomb herself. The media lost its mind. Talk shows looped the clip like breaking news. Analysts arguing whether this was revenge, sabotage, or the boldest "I'm done" moment in celebrity history. Industry insiders whispered that Tiny had kept this footage for years, a ticking time bomb. She finally chose to detonate. By sunrise, the Harris brand was in freefall. Endorsements iced, deals delayed. PR teams sprinted into damage control mode, but it was already too late. The internet had decided the verdict before breakfast, and Tiny, silent, not a word, no statements, no interviews. Just one haunting post. You can't destroy what already burned. The internet gasped. Was it closure? Confession? Or the opening scene of something even bigger? Behind the curtain, lawyers were already moving. Documents confirmed what fans had suspected for months. Tiny's divorce from T.I. had been finalized days before the video dropped. Accident? Hardly. The world didn't know her plan, but Tiny did. When a woman who used to sing about love suddenly decides to sing about truth, you better believe the whole world turns up the volume. That night, Atlanta didn't sleep a wink. Paparazzi swarmed the gates. News vans camped like vultures. and inside, Tiny Harris scrolled through the digital wildfire she'd started. The city that once crowned her queen now stood frozen, waiting for her next move. Meanwhile, two names, T.I. and Shekinah Anderson, were echoing across 1,000 group chats. Whispered in every salon, every studio, every late-night call. The clip itself lasted only half a minute, but its shockwave. Eternal, Tiny didn't just end a marriage. She rewrote the entire gospel of betrayal live, with everyone friends, foes, and fans cast as background characters in her truth. By dawn, Atlanta was in full-blown hysteria. Timelines crashed under the weight of obsession. Radio hosts replayed the same 29 seconds like it was breaking news, and every wannabe detective had a theory. The truth no longer belonged to Tiny, it belonged to the noise. But she didn't step outside. She didn't have to. The world was already parked outside her house, cameras cocked like weapons, begging for a reaction. Inside, her phone lit up, non-stop friends panicking, producers begging, strangers thirsting for a quote. She ignored them all. She'd already spoken louder than any interview ever could without saying a word. Then came T.I., finally breaking his silence with a post that screamed PR training. Black screen. White text: every story has two sides. Don't believe everything you see. No names, no denial, just damage control disguised as wisdom. His comments blew up into a civil war, half defending, half dragging. Moments later, Shekinah jumped in with a tearful, shaky video, swearing she'd been loyal, that the footage was twisted, fake, old. But come on, this is the internet. People don't care about truth. They care about drama. And that night, Tiny had already given them more than enough to feast on in the dim glow of her living room. Tiny Harris stared at her phone screen, her own reflection staring back, calm, unreadable, maybe even satisfied. The walls whispered memories, glossy magazine covers, red carpet grins, award night perfection. Every photo a lie from another lifetime. For years, she'd been T.I.'s wife, the loyal partner, the decorative half of a brand. But now, she was simply Tiny. The woman who dropped the clip, the one that made the internet forget to blink. And for the first time in forever, that title didn't feel like shame. It felt like power. Title didn't feel like shame. It felt like power. By the next afternoon, the gossip machine was in overdrive. Every outlet had its version, the ultimate revenge drop. Atlanta's private scandal, Tiny's digital divorce. Legal pundits argued privacy laws while Twitter warriors fought moral battles in all caps. Even her old friends picked sides like it was election season. Someone dug up an ancient interview clip. Suddenly, every old joke sounded prophetic. "You can't hide secrets in Atlanta," a local DJ cackled. "They always end up on camera." But behind the memes and think pieces, something far uglier brewed. The Harris empire wasn't just a marriage, it was an industry. Royalties, endorsements, fashion deals, reality shows, all tied to the illusion of love. And now, crumbling. Sponsors backed out, TV reruns went on hold, and producers whispered about reevaluating T.I.'s projects. Tiny saw it coming. Every consequence was accounted for. Every crack part of the plan. She wasn't destroying her life. She was reclaiming it. Liberation disguised as scandal. Later that night, she scrolled through old texts with Shekinah Anderson. Laughter, secrets, sisterhood. Then one message stopped her cold. "No matter what, we got each other." The irony burned. Once that loyalty was unshakable, Shekinah could walk through her door unannounced, no questions asked. But fame melts friendship faster than fire. When the whispers started, Tiny begged her for honesty. Shekinah's silence was the loudest betrayal of all. Maybe that silence, not anger or revenge, was what finally pushed Tiny to hit upload. Not spite, just exhaustion. Across town, T.I. sat in a dimly lit studio, the same room that once turned his chaos into charm. But that night, every beat felt dead. The console blinked. His phone buzzed. Managers, lawyers, PR handlers, all scrambling for damage control. "We can fix this," one begged. "We'll call it a misunderstanding." But deep down, he knew the truth. You can't PR your way out of what the internet already believes. 2 millions. He wasn't a husband who slipped. He was the headline everyone loved to hate. By day 3, the infamous clip had crossed 20 million views. It wasn't gossip anymore. It was culture. Think pieces dropped like mixtapes, essays on betrayal, feminism, power, revenge. Some hailed Tiny Harris as a phoenix rising from betrayal. Others labeled her reckless. But one thing was universal: every story started with her name. And for a woman who'd spent decades introduced as T.I.'s wife, that irony was almost poetic. Tiny didn't read the noise. She sat in her quiet home, scrolling through the chaos she'd created, until one comment froze her. Sometimes the only way to heal is to break everything first. She stared for a long moment, then smiled. Meanwhile, whispers about T.I. planning a Talal interview started to swirl. His camp denied it, but gossip doesn't die, it multiplies. Fans waited for his clapback for some explosive counterattack. But days turned to weeks, and his silence spoke louder than any interview ever could. Tiny didn't gloat. She didn't need to. She was finally breathing in peace, the kind that only comes after setting your world on fire. Atlanta, of course, moved on. New scandals rose, fresh dramas fed the algorithm, but in every conversation about loyalty, betrayal, or celebrity chaos, one phrase echoed like legend. Remember what Tiny did? It became folklore, a cautionary anthem about truth, silence, and the price of exposure. Still, Tiny knew the story wasn't truly over. Every leak leaves a ripple. Every exposed truth births a darker secret. Somewhere, more footage existed. More lies waiting to surface. She had no plans to drop another bomb, but fame always finds someone willing to light the next match that night. Rain whispered against the glass while Tiny Harris sat alone, eyes closed, soaking in the quiet she'd finally earned. For the first time in forever, she didn't feel small or shadowed. She felt seen. Flawed, scarred, but undeniably real. The world could keep debating her motives. She didn't care. The truth was finally hers to protect or to burn. Weeks passed, but Atlanta still buzzed like an open wound. The 29-second clip had become legend, argued in barbershops, dissected in salons, and replayed on late-night radio. Everyone had a take, and every take claimed to be truth. Tiny had become both ghost and goddess, feared, admired, and mythologized all at once. Inside her mansion, the chaos had cooled to a strange, uneasy calm. The paparazzi were gone, but their presence still haunted the air. Every phone buzz made her flinch, half expecting a new twist, a lawsuit, an apology, a scandal encore. But nothing came. T.I. had vanished from the spotlight, canceling shows and hiding in the studio. Shekinah Anderson went silent, her socials wiped clean. 3 names that once ruled Atlanta's gossip scene now floated through the city like smoke, lingering, but untouchable. Tiny spent her mornings writing not songs, not press statements, but memories. Fragments of the life she'd lived and lost, the first time T.I. called her queen, the laughter that used to fill their home, the moment she realized love could cut as deeply as betrayal. Every word she penned felt like reclaiming a stolen piece of herself. One afternoon, her lawyer called. "It's done," he said gently. "Divorce finalized. Settlements signed. Accounts split. It's all over." But Tiny didn't answer, because how could it be over when the world still replayed her heartbreak on loop? Meanwhile, the internet predictably turned conspiracy central. Some swore Tiny leaked the clip for a documentary deal. Others claimed Shekinah was gearing up to sue. A few even insisted the footage was a deepfake, a revenge hoax crafted by someone else. Truth had become elastic, stretching to fit whatever story fans wanted to believe. Then, out of nowhere, the plot thickened. Not with Tiny, not with T.I., but with a wild card, a former producer who'd worked with both. Sitting in a dark studio, voice low and loaded, he whispered, "What y'all saw, that was just the tip of the iceberg." He talked about secret feuds, hidden recordings, and shady backroom deals. Then came the line that froze the internet. If people knew half of what really went down, they'd realize that clip wasn't the betrayal, it was the consequence. And just like that, the internet erupted again. One cryptic producer comment, and chaos was back on the menu. What did he mean? Who was he covering for? Every blog, every podcast, every clickbait headline dragged Tiny Harris right back into the fire. She thought she'd finally escaped. Her friends begged her to speak up, to clap back, to clear her name. But Tiny, she didn't bite. Instead, she dropped a single image, a candle burning in a pitch-black room. The caption read, "Sometimes silence screams louder than truth." And just like that, she turned quiet into power again that same night. I finally broke cover not with a press release, but a mic drop. During a surprise performance downtown, he stopped mid-song, the crowd chanting hungry for a reaction. He stared out into the lights and said, "Y'all think you know the story? You don't know half of it." Then he launched into a brand new track, raw, bitter, full of regret and pride, tangled together. The audience cried. Bloggers went feral decoding the lyrics line by line. Tiny didn't comment. But later, alone in her living room, she listened and smiled. Not from happiness, but from something deeper. Even fury, she realized, can be a kind of peace. By month's end, the flames had died down. The clip was still online, but it had gone from scandal to legend. The tabloids found new prey. Atlanta glittered again, pretending nothing had happened. But the people who'd lived it, they'd never forget. Tiny started planning something new, not an album, but a confession with purpose, a documentary in her own voice. Not about revenge, but survival. What it costs to tell your truth when the world's too busy monetizing your pain? She didn't want to strike back. She wanted to reflect, to reclaim her narrative before someone else did it for her. One evening, as the sun melted behind the skyline, she finally stepped outside. The air was thick with rain and jasmine. Neighbors waved half sympathy, half AO. She waved back softly, the gesture of a woman closing her own chapter. Then, back inside, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. 3 chilling words. "We're not done." She stared, then locked the screen. Maybe the world wasn't finished, but she was. She'd already told her truth, loudest of all. In the silence that followed the storm, in the end, that infamous clip wasn't just a scandal, it was an autopsy of an empire, built on fame, cracked by ego, and finished off by truth. Tiny Harris walked back into her quiet house, city lights blinking like distant reminders of everything she'd burned. Somewhere, T.I.'s new track still played on the radio, a love song turned eulogy. For a moment she almost felt peace. Almost, because in Atlanta, peace never lasts. The next story was already loading, and now the world's left with the question no one can scroll past. Was this Tiny's revenge, or her rebirth? The dust may have settled, but the silence feels heavier than ever. The clip, the tears, the betrayals, they've outgrown gossip. They're legend now. The tale of a woman who lost it all, then rebuilt herself from the ashes. Some call it scandal, others survival. But one thing's undeniable: Tiny changed the rules. She reminded everyone that silence isn't surrender. That truth, messy, painful, unfiltered, is still the most dangerous weapon in the game. And in a city powered by secrets, she proved that one voice, one leak, can still make the ground shake. But tell me this, what about T.I.? What about Shekinah Anderson? Are their stories done? Or are they just queuing up the sequel? Because in this fame circus, every ending hides another leak, and every truth unlocks a brand new lie. So what do you believe? Was Tiny the villain of her own Sagor, the heroine no one saw coming? Did she torch an empire? Or finally free herself from it? Drop your take in the comments. Share your theory. Hit that like if you think Tiny took back her crown. And don't forget to subscribe, because in Atlanta's kingdom of love and loyalty, the next twist is already on the way. This isn't gossip. This is the anatomy of fame, betrayal, and rebirth. And trust me, the story isn't over yet.